Now you are talking, Crocker. If we get the pressure, it doesn't matter how good the corners can be. Right. Because really, if you look at it right now, the corners haven't been bad. Like, I don't think the 49ers are losing games. It's like, oh, we're losing games because the corners are getting ate up. I don't think so. I think, for one, 49ers are finding different ways to lose. Obviously, we've had the penalties. But I will say, I looked up some penalty numbers yesterday, and the 49ers aren't the most penalized secondary. Now, they do lead in pass interferences by one. They have 12, and it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that have 11. But when you account for pass interferences, defensive holding, illegal contact, there are teams that have more than the 49ers from their secondary. There are teams that have more. And there are a bunch of teams that are right there in the mix when you add up all those. Now, there is one team, I think it's the Tennessee Titans. They have 0 pass interferences on the season. I don't know how you do that. But there are a lot of penalties to secondaries in the league. The 49ers have the most pass interferences, but these other teams have more pass interferences, illegal contact, holding, defensive holding from the secondary combined. There's teams that have more than the 49ers when you combine all those things. So the pressure definitely can help. I see Beckham has been a disappointment. You know, I think it was always when it came to Beckham, he was somebody that it was kind of a like let's see thing, right? Like I can't be disappointed by him because I wasn't expecting him to be just this legit edge rusher, right? I mean, he's a guy who wasn't really a full-time edge rusher or anything from the when he was playing for the Rams. He wasn't a guy that they were just putting on the edge and just rush. He was really a Sam backer. So I get it in the sense of disappointment, but disappointment depending on what your standards for him were. And for me, they weren't very high. But obviously, he would be somebody right now that could help the 49ers. But he's just not that guy. They lack a legit pass rusher, and they need that right now. And that would help everybody out. Again, I appreciate everybody that's contributing to the show. Here we go. My guy Jesse, 32 free agents, 8 million in cap projected. No first round picks. Rookies aren't. Okay, so that's tough when you look at it like that. But that's 8 million projected cap, and that's not including Jimmy Garoppolo coming off the books, right? I'm assuming. So if you take the 25 million or whatever he's off, now we're talking about 30 plus million, right? I'm not a cap person. I'm just assuming. So now you're talking about over $30 million in cap space. Also, we already know how contracts can be. We saw them work a miracle. I don't even say work a miracle, but they worked the cap this offseason where they moved some guys around, their money around, and freed up. I mean, what was it? 10, 15 million, 20 million, whatever it was before we could blink, right? So yeah, 8 million projected, but it could easily be 50 million in cap space if they do it right. Now, in terms of 32 free agents, I don't think that's too much different than what you see around the league. Obviously, there are guys that they're going to want to bring back. Some guys are not, but they will have money to be able to bring back guys. You know, you can obviously, sign a bunch of guys depending on how you kind of front load contracts and whatnot. I think they're going to be in a great, just fine space to be able to build through the free agency. And I know there's no first round picks, but at the end of the day, the guys that have been contributing the most for the 49ers have been third round, fourth round, fifth round picks. So how much will it hurt the 49ers not having a first round pick? Obviously, you want that talent, but it seems like the guys that have been playing, the guys that have been making impacts aren't really the first round picks to that extent. Now, obviously, you have a Nick Bosa and things like that, but they've been doing really good outside of the first round. So that's kind of my spill on that. I don't think that not having a first round pick hurts them as much as we think in theory, or that it would with most teams. I see you guys, the caller is waiting. Definitely about to get you guys on. Just have a few of these super chats answer. This is my guy Abel, so I got to get to him. My dog, real 209. Is it more interior line play or edge rushing opposed edge rushing opposite Bosa? I think it's a combination of all of it, right? Most quarterbacks will tell you that when they get that immediate pressure from the interior, like that's like right in their face, that moves them, right? Because that's right directly into their vision. And then you want the guys off the edge to clean it up. I don't think they've been getting that off the edge to clean it up. I think D4 definitely could have helped. I think early on when the 49ers defense was playing well, he was doing a good job of that. 49ers defense wasn't always as leaky as it is right now, but I think the injuries is starting to take a toll. Appreciate the contribution from my guy Sean, Niner Empire DMV. Let's go. Here we go. We failed to plan to fail. John Lynch is not the GM we need. He has missed on more draft picks and free agent signings that he has hit on. Here's the tough thing, and I hear you, Sean. I hear you. Shout out to Niner Empire DMV. Let's go. I hear you. Now, I'm trying to figure out how to word this. I would have to look at like a statistic on the hit rate around the league as it pertains to, free agent, signings and things like that. How much more do the 49ers miss or have a lack of production as opposed to other squads? That's something that would be intriguing for me to kind of look into. Now, again, I think the biggest issue right now with the 49ers and John Lynch, yeah, he's been doing some weird stuff. At first, it seemed like he was like the guy, right? He was making his magic. He was finessing people and stuff. I was calling him the finesse god. It ain't looking too good for John Lynch right now. But I will say the 49ers, they just don't look inspired with how they're playing. And I think more than anything, that's kind of been a bigger issue. Yeah, you got some injuries on defense, but can John Lynch inspire these guys to play hard? I don't know. But I feel like the roster, right? And this is part of John Lynch being a GM. Do y'all look at the roster and just say that the roster sucks? Now, if you say fail to plan and plan to fail, that's a little different because I don't know what the plan is right now. But when I look at the roster, just in general, right, before this season, most people, they predicted the 49ers win the NFC West because of the roster that this team has put together. I think moving forward, they were excited about this team. And I think, again, it's because of the and put my headset on. I think it's because of the roster that they built. So, yeah, when I look at this team, man, it's tough. There's a lot of blame to go around. Sean, I appreciate the contribution. When you find different ways to lose each week, you are not a good football team, despite what we may think. I agree that we are not playing good football, but I don't think that we are a bad football team. We're just playing bad. Like, we suck. All right, we suck. But I don't think we suck because we can't be a good football team. I just think we got to get out of our own way. Now, again, part of that is being a good football team. And I know I'm kind of contradicting myself a little bit here. But I don't look out there and think that we don't have the guys to be able to win games. That's ultimately what I'm saying. When I look out there, I don't see a team that has the inability to win games. So now it's just figuring out how to get out of your own way. And I think that kind of comes down to coaching. Appreciate the contribution. Here we go. Another contribution. I listened to your Friday pod on Locked On. Why doesn't Shanahan like to play rookies? How are we supposed to build our future if the guy doesn't get reps? Ooh, great question. Now, again, what my guy Joe is kind of alluding to is Locked On 49ers. We had Benjamin Solak on, and Benjamin had the article in the Ringer talking about Kyle Shanahan and some of his philosophies. And Kyle definitely struggles with playing rookies for whatever reason. Now, obviously, like, you have the Nick Bosa's, and, he's just going to be him. But everything else kind of says, I don't think it's that he struggles to play rookies. I don't think that's the case. Well, as Benjamin Solak said, most teams don't want to have to play rookies. I think what he's missing is he wants all these guys to come in and approach the game a certain way. And if they're not approaching the game how he wants, he takes issue to that. And that's where his big issue is. I think that's where his issue is. And that's why so many of these guys end up being in the doghouse. He's got to figure it out. He got to figure out how to have that balance. Because until he does, it's going to be hard to get the results that he wants from these younger guys. And I touched on that, but this is the positive show. So I don't want to get too negative on Kyle Shanahan. But I do think there's certain things that he has to figure out with this younger generation of kids coming up and how he has to approach them, how he has to talk to them, how he has to motivate them. He's not coaching Julio Jones. He's not coaching Andre Johnson of the past, Matt Ryan. these younger guys, they're a little different, and you have to go about it a different way. He hasn't quite figured that part out yet. Got another contribution here. Let's see it. Let's see it. My guy Gerald. Our roster doesn't suck. Our coaches are not putting the players in position for them to be their best. Need a new defensive scheme. All right. Defensive scheme. Here's the tough thing. I don't think it's necessarily the scheme that lacks. I think it's tough sometimes when you're missing certain guys that you expect to be out there. And when you don't have those guys, how does that affect your scheme, right? So when you look at Talanoa Hufanga, who gets caught in space against Christian Kirk, that's the scheme. The scheme is putting Hufanga in position to be able to catch that and run with it, right? The scheme is putting him in position. But maybe Hufanga doesn't have the pure speed to be able to run with a guy like Christian Kirk. But ideally, Hufanga's not the guy that's there. It's Ward or it's Tart, and they can run with guys. You know what I'm saying? So in the sense of putting guys in position to make plays, I don't think that's necessarily the case on a consistent basis. But I hear you. I think the scheme is fine. I've liked how he's come out more times than not. The last 2 weeks have been a little weird. Definitely seemed like there was no answer to the Cardinals game plan. But I don't think it's necessarily on a consistent basis. It's been a bad scheme. I think he's come out with the right mindset. Sometimes the execution poor, and that can go on coaching. But I think some of it right now is just missing some key guys. And we can't just go without talking about that, without missing a Kinlaw, who definitely helps in the run game. Without missing a Jason Verrett, both your starting safeties, Dre Greenlaw, D Ford. It hurts. So now it's like, how do I patch this thing up? That's the part he's trying to figure out. Appreciate the contribution. All right, I got through to some of those contributions. Here we go. We're gonna bring on our first guy. We got Jedi. What's good, man? What positive news you got for me?
What's good again, brother? What's good? What's good, man? Look, I'm gonna try to be you, Croc. I'm gonna try to spin it in positive. I come on here, I kind of get negative and I get to going, so I'm gonna try to be positive. If we play Trey Lance, okay, and if I'm Jed and I want to get rid of John, Trey Lance could be the magnet for Jeff Ireland or somebody that has some credentials in the GM world to say, hey, I don't need necessarily these 2 first-round picks. I think I got me a quarterback right now. I might be able to maneuver some things within the 2nd, 3rd, 4th rounds or, later in the draft. So that might be a positive, but it goes back to playing Trey Lance. I think another positive is the roster, like you said, is not a bad roster. There are holes, but there are holes in everyone's roster in the NFL. So I would, if we get a competent GM, start addressing the secondary. It looks like, Tart is going to probably walk at the end of the season. I don't know if they plan on paying him or not, but it looks like he's going to walk. I think you're going to have to figure out if Hufanga can play there, and if he can't, even if he can play there, just draft somebody to get some depth behind that, get a competition going. And I think you need to figure out what you're going to do behind Jimmy Ward, because the one thing I've noticed about that defense, it seems like, and I would have thought Fred was the guy, but it seems like Jimmy is the guy. It seems like Jimmy Ward and what he does and how he controls it seems like when he's gone, the floodgates open. But when he was on the field, there was it was like the leader was there. The guy who everyone could just turn to, can just soak down. He could get everyone in control. So it seems to be I've identified Jimmy Ward as the leader of the defense. Now, I would like Fred to step up because I think that's his realm, and I think Nick Bosa needs to also begin to step up because it's beginning, in his realm. But I believe the reason why we're seeing the problems we see out of our defense isn't because necessarily they are bad personnel. I think the leader of the team, or the leader of the heart of the defense, isn't on the field. And when the heart of the defense is on the field, they play better. Every week Jimmy Ward's played, they played decent. They always gave it a fighting effort. When Jimmy Ward got hurt, the floodgates opened. And that's not good on Fred Warner. It's not good on Nick Bosa. And I think they need to address that somehow, some way. Hopefully, they get rid of Jimmy, get some cap space. You can go look for, guys to help bring reinforcements into the defense. So that's all I'm gonna say. Love your show, Croc. I love seeing Miss Mama Crocker. Tell her I said what's up. Hope you get your basement, brother.
I appreciate you, my guy. Jimmy Ward. That might be somebody who is more of the vocal leader and get things going. And maybe his presence on the field is missed more than we kind of calculated. Coming up next, I got my guy Darius. Man, how you doing? Darius, you there?
I'm blessed, man. How you feeling this morning?
Oh man, I'm good, man. What
Yeah,
you got for us, man? Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, for sure. As far as being positive, this is what I'm gonna say, man. Because every week, like I said, every week, the players blame the coach blame the players. Oh, we're not prepared. Well, you know what? You guys ain't executing. What they need to do is do an old school camping. They need to go out to the wilderness, all the starters and the coaches. Go do a bonding type of exercise and get right with each other. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like you said, they are a good team. Outside of the defense having all those injuries, DeMarco is still trying to create something, and I respect that. Like I ain't gonna be mad at him for how last week turned out. You got, it was just all bad last week, man, and fumbles and all that. So it's like I can't really fault them as far as them saying like they played bad. I mean, not played bad, but they coached bad or bad scheming. None of that. No, it's something in their psyche. It's like the coaches they're blaming these players, and like you said, Lynch is getting on the camera and he's exposing too much. At first, I liked it as far as them being honest. As far as like this player he's going through something or this player's who, but when you get the nagging on them and acting like they're not good at their job, it's like hold on, man, like that's something you could say for the locker room on a one-on-one discussion. You know what I'm saying? You don't do that. You don't get on here and talk about Fred Warner, he has to step up because he's the heart of the defense and all the pressure's on him. Like no, it's not. Like this, what is this, his third year, and you're asking him to do things that. He might be his fourth. I think it was his fourth.
Yeah,
but
fourth.
It's like you're asking him to do. Yeah, so it's like you're asking him to do things that he really wasn't the man to do at first. Like as far as stuff in the run, like he's a coverage dude and he's hella smart. Like he could look at the offense and he gets to telling the defense what to do and the adjustments. Like he's dope at that. But all of a sudden now, you take, for example, perfect example. Fred Warner is not no Patrick Willis, Navarro Bowman type of dude. Like, he's not no big get up in there and fill the gaps and all in your face. Like, no, like he's just as sharp and he works with his strengths. And like the last caller said, Jimmy Ward he's been there 12 years. Of course that's the dog. He's the OG, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like Jimmy Ward has to embrace these younger players and let them know, hey, look, I'm not going to be here forever. This is y'all team. Y'all got to really step up and check each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like, for example, Josh Norman's 33. And so these 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds, they probably feel like they can't tell him nothing. But I'm the type of person, I'll get in your face. Hey, look, man, all these PIs you got going on, like, cut that out. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to always be aggressive, like overly aggressive, because you're costing the team. You know what I'm saying? And the stats that we have are what's the word, man? Like, it's a mirage, man. Like, we're fourth in pass defense, and then we're eighth in yards allowed. But that's because we turn the ball over and give them a short field. So, of course, it looks like that. And I hate when they keep bringing that up as if, like, that's like that's like their go-to thing. Oh, we're our defense, and we're ranked here or ranked there. Like, man, nah, man. Like, stop feeding us that BS. The same way y'all fed us this whole faithful slogan, which I do like it though. I ain't gonna lie, I do. I feel like that's a better. It's better than the gold rush. So I like being called the faithful. However, it's when y'all came with this whole we running 2019 back. No, like no, you're not. Y'all just was cheap and didn't go get nobody. So now y'all trying to make us think that this team from 2 years ago still exists when this is the NFL, man. Like people catch up to that.
Right.
Just like everybody caught up to Kyle Shanahan and his play designs and all that. Now people are running it better than him. And when they play him, they know how to stop it. And this guy, he's so stubborn, he doesn't even want to change his whole get down as far as how he's calling the game. And it's like, come on, Shanahan, like, please, like, I honestly don't feel like he's the coach, bro. I do. At first I did, but it's like, damn, man, like this dude is a real jerk. Like, and
hey, real, you are all of us. And I'm gonna get you off in a second, but the last thing I want to touch on, because I got some other people waiting, but the last thing I want to touch on is I talked about this on Locked On 49ers. If you guys don't already, listen to Locked On 49ers this morning, we had Benjamin Solak on there yesterday, myself and Brian Peacock. But I talked about this and Kyle's handling of the young players. And he's not understanding that this younger generation is different. And I realized it right away when I got into coaching high school football in 2015, 2016, when I got done playing ball. I realized these kids are different. And I had to look at myself. What do I have to do different to get through to these kids? Because they will check out. You know what I'm saying? And what I had to do was I can be that guy that's a stickler because by nature, I'm a stickler. Like I want to, hey, not this way, this way, this way. But I had to really celebrate small wins with these young guys. I had to, the moment I see them do something remotely close to what it was that I like, there it is. Good job. All right, now that was good. That was good. Okay, now do this, add this to it, and that's money. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to kind of over-exaggerate their small wins because if you don't, a lot of these kids, same with my son. My son, if you ask him, all I do is get on him, right? Like, that's what he's thinking. Like, no, he just gets on me. But really, it's like, nah, man, like, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? If I point out all the good, then he's like, damn. But what you have to do with these young kids is you can get on them, but you got to reel them back in. You got to really celebrate their small wins. You know what I'm saying? And I think Kyle Shanahan, he's having a tough time with that because he has more of an old school mentality. But I think that's an area where he can improve. And if you're not that guy, like maybe Nick Saban's not like that, right? Maybe Nick Saban just gets on people. But if you're kicking everybody's ass, then it's not going to matter. But the moment you start losing, that attitude is going to wear on guys. And that's what we're going on with the 49ers. But Darius, I appreciate you coming on, bro.
Sure, thank you.
All right, here we go. I got my next caller coming on. We got Ryan. All right, but before we get to Ryan, my guy 49er Jeff, who's playing worse, defense or offense? Obviously, I think they're both contributing to losses, but I would say the offense is playing worse just because I think my expectations for the offense is higher, right? Like when I look at the 49ers offense and you look out there last game and you see George Kittle, Ayuk, Debo, Trent Williams, Jimmy, Mitchell's running the ball well. Like, you're going to have to kind of carry this team right now. Like, the defense is like trying to play through a plethora of injuries and from impactful guys. Offense, we need you to carry a little bit more. And I just saw the -9 turnover ratio. I think a lot of that has to do with the 49ers defense not taking the ball away at all, but the offense definitely has to be a little bit more disciplined with not turning the ball over. So I'm definitely going to say the offense in this situation because I feel like the expectations for them to perform at a higher level is not quite there. I had another one. Here we go. My guy Jamal got a fire thought about the leadership void on this team. Want to get it off my chest before you end this show. Oh, you already know. I'm going to DM you the link because I don't know if I'm going to bring up the link anymore because we got a lot of people in here waiting right now and it's already approaching 10. But I definitely want to get your thoughts. All right, so here we go. Jamal, you definitely come on here. I just sent you the link. All right, got my guy Ryan coming on. Ryan, what's good with you?
What's up, man? What's good? What's good, Crocker? How you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. I'm blessed, man. How you feeling?
We said blessed, love, and highly favored, man. I'm feeling good, man. Just celebrated my 8-year anniversary yesterday, so I'm good. I can't complain.
Oh, congrats! I'm 6 years in. So actually, my
Okay.
wedding anniversary is in like 10 days. So yeah,
Yeah, November 11th,
just
man. That's what I'm talking about.
yeah. So in 10
That's a
days. So mine
milestone,
is
bro.
November 23rd. So yeah, right there.
That's what's up. Hey, one thing I've noticed, I've been watching a lot of KNBR and a lot of 95 the game, and it seems like all the older players have the same consensus about the issues with the 49ers. Whether it's Steve Young, Jerry Rice, Lorenzo Neal comes on time to time, they all say the same thing, and it's internal dealing with leadership, meaning like he's saying he gave the Ghost Awards as an example. He said they follow Steph Curry, Draymond Green. You see what I'm saying? They create a culture there, and everybody that comes in, they see it and they trust it because they believe in the superstars that's there on that team. And just like they had Jordan Poole and Draymond get into it yesterday, but he said, see, Draymond's a dog. He has the cachet, but then he'll also teach you along the way. But he brings that mentality there. Jerry Rice was talking to Steve Young. He said, I was at the game. He said, I really don't see no dogs out there to really be able to keep this team grounded. And that's like a lack of leadership from the secondary. And he says also on offense, Jimmy, I know he said Jimmy's playing great, but he doesn't have that Steph Curry effect. So when your best player supposedly on offense supposed to be your quarterback, and he really don't have like the vibe and of the whole team, or he really doesn't bring the type of swag like that. When that's why we lose turnover battles, or that's why we lose like this on stupid stuff. And he says we have to really focus on that and try to develop that and do better at it. So I think that's probably why we're losing. And then because of Kyle Shanahan, he doesn't really have the pulse of the team because it is so divided everywhere. It just
Yeah.
makes a greater issue when it comes to coaching, and then also when it comes to the players.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think John Lynch tried to speak to that as well, talking about like, the leadership thing and saying that guys can do better. But I think some of it like is like, hey, if you guys feel like you don't have the guys because you let DeForest Buckner go and you lost Joe Staley. So you got to figure it out. At some point, all right, Kyle Shanahan, you got to figure out a way to lead better. Or John
Hey,
Lynch,
quick
you
question.
got to figure out. Yeah, go ahead.
Did you see Joe Staley was on the KBR, right? He called in. He just started singing a random song by the Black Eyed Chili Peppers. And like his personality was very like, gravitating. And you could tell how in a time like this where the team is up and down, that type of personality, how it can kind of calm people down and bring that type of lightness in, but also say, hey, we still got a ball, guys. And same thing with DeForest Buckner. I like those pieces are extremely key. And when we replace them with a Nick Bosa who's kind of docile in his personality, Fred Warner's kind of cool, calm, and collected, very, one of those smart guys, but he doesn't seem like he's very outspoken. You know what I mean? Even out there on the field. And they're missing that on the front line, the front seven. They're missing those two type of guys, And then we don't got no fat dude like Terry Segusa in the middle, plugging up the middles and stuff like that. So it kills our running game because on the spread nine technique, those get big old gaps. We ain't gonna stop no run with those gaps being so big.
Right.
D end spins out so wide. And we got DJ Jones, which is a good replacement number 2, but he's tiny. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's short, the thick, but he ain't a big butterball that's gonna plug up that middle. You know what I'm saying? So we really missing Ken Law, man, more than what we really think.
Yeah. All right, Ryan, I'm gonna get you off, man, but I appreciate you coming on, brother.
Peace out, bro. Faithful.
All right. Here we go. Next up. Oh my God, Dion. What's good, Dion? I know you've been patient, man. Appreciate you coming on.
All good, all good. What's going on, Crocker?
Oh man, I'm chilling. How you feeling this morning?
Hey man, I'm alive. I'm blessed, man. I'm actually, that's real cool, man, that you brought the wife on to be able to talk about stuff. You know what I mean? I like that, man.
Yeah.
That's always a good thing. The cool thing is, man, is what I'm saying, my wife is very similar in the fact that she knows I'm a damn sports junkie and it drives her insane. But I mean, she did make a good point. Like, I'd rather have him in the house driving me insane, always looking at sports, and then out ripping and running the streets, and I got to worry about where he is and what he's doing. So, man, positives. I know people are gonna hate me for this because I don't ever want to lose any games. Positive, we keep losing games. We'll start to see Trey Lance. Like that, I want him to get reps, man, because I honestly don't want him to come into the season next year and then everybody is looking at him and going, "Hey, man, you gotta get out here and automatically perform. You need to be number one from day one, and we need to, hit the ground running, hit the playoffs, and make it to the Super Bowl because that's unfair expectations for a young kid who does not have the experience." And that's what everybody was talking about with Justin Fields. They're like, hey, he's getting the reps that he needs, but at the same, so the game is going to slow down for him. So next year, hopefully they put an offensive line in front of the young man because that's 90% of the reason why he'd be taking off. Talking about Justin Fields in that matter.
Right.
But for us, we just got to figure out the right side, and I'm kind of curious to figure out what happens. I honestly think they're going to move Brunskill out to right tackle. And unfortunately, we're going to put Tom Compton in at guard. And I don't want that because Tom Compton is not good. Positive, Deebo Samuel. Baller. Straight baller. Positive, the fact that, Brandon Ayuk is starting to see more targets. Positive, we getting Hufanga some valuable reps. We understand it was already known he didn't have straight line speed to be able to keep up with somebody who was fast because we all watched him unfortunately get burned when James Conner just cooked him because he just took off from day one. So yeah, man, those are the only positives I really got because there's still a lot of negative, unfortunately. And what kills me, the only thing I'll say about this is John Lynch. Go in the locker room. Talk to these guys. You're a player. You were a previous player. They respect you more than they respect Kyle. Why? Because you did their job. So it's easy for you to be, sympathetic to their plight. They understand that. So if you go in there and give them an inspired speech, that's better than going out and publicly trying to shame somebody, especially your star linebacker. Like, why would you do that? You don't go out there and publicly, crap on your star linebacker and make him look like he's bad because that's not fair to him. Right. Fred doing all he can, and we do. The last guy was correct. We got a room full of quiet people.
Yeah.
Heck, I don't know how many times I've seen players go to the podium and talk about different players and be like, "Yeah, this guy's quiet. He didn't say anything. This guy doesn't really talk much." And yeah, we do. We need that type of leadership. But honestly, I have a way that could work. And I've said this before, and I'll stick to this. Bring guys back. Jerry Rice should be our wide receivers coach. Patrick Willis should be our linebackers coach. You know what I'm saying?
They got to want to coach, though. And that's the tough thing. It's those long hours. Jerry Rice got the goat fuel going on and everything. And,
but what I'm saying is
endeavors, but
open the door. Let them know it's available for you if you would like to. Or if anything, just, hey, man, look, Jed, send a private jet, man. Grab all these dudes. Bring them together. Jerry's at every damn game. Every home game, he's there. Sitting in the stand, he's trying to rile up the crowd, everything. So that's what I'm saying. Bring these dudes in, man, and have them say, hey, look, this is not – because it's not fair to us as fans. We got to keep watching this stuff.
Right.
That's not cool. I don't want to keep watching us lose. I want us to win. You know what I'm saying? So those are things that I'm thinking of as far as since they don't have the leadership in the room, bring those guys that did have that fire and bring them in. Bring a Jesse Sapolo back. Talk to the dude, man, with my guys from across the pond, man, with the Shan Club. Jesse Sapolo's a really great dude. He's an awesome human being. He played all over the line. Why not have him talk to the offensive lineman? There's ways you can find things to do, but as far as the OBJ situation, I know you got other people waiting, so I'm going to shut up. But the OBJ situation, we were not getting him. He wanted to go to a contender, and we are not a contender. Right. We are not going anywhere, and that we believe me. If OBJ would have came here, that would have been a miracle. That would have been an act of God, because as much as we would have liked him, he just was looking like, nah, man, I'm not going. I just would have preferred him to go anywhere else than the Rams.
Right.
I just watched. If you haven't seen the movie Eternals, if you like, the Marvel movies,
I haven't watched it yet, but
it's a great flick. But I came out of the movie and almost threw my phone across the theater because I seen that Odell Beckham Jr. is at LA Ram. I'm like, We got enough problems in the division, brother. We can't keep y'all got
Yeah.
to stop. But yeah, I appreciate you, Crocky. Much
All
love
right.
to you. Congrats, man, on any and everything. Continue to stay blessed in your endeavors. And shout out to the wife, man, for being understanding, man, because I love my wife. She's understanding of my craziness, too.
Yep. All good. All good, bro.
All right, bro.
All right. Here we go. Got a couple super chats to get to. Besides the top 5 teams in our conference, everybody else is on the struggles. We can end up owning 5 or 6 tiebreakers for the 17th. And I agree. And that's why it's like, I just want to get this thing rolling, like get it going in the right direction, right? Like the 49ers aren't far. And when I say not far, like they're not far out the playoff hunt. And I really feel like they have the team that can like compete, but they got to get on the roll and they have to figure it out. They beat the teams, you know, you beat the Lions and the Eagles and the Bears, and maybe the 49ers just not good. But I just can't look at this team and the way the roster is constructed and feel like this isn't a team that can't turn it around. And if you look at who they have coming up, again, talked about the Rams, starts there. You got to win that. You don't want to look past them. But after that, you got Jacksonville. You got Minnesota. You got Seattle. They're not very good right now, but they are going to get Russell Wilson back. Then you got the Bengals. Like, they are kind of trending downward. You got Atlanta. They're not that good. I mean, like, you got Tennessee. They don't have damn Derrick Henry. And then you got the Houston Texans. Like, the schedule is really set up for the 49ers to make the playoffs if they can get out of their own way. It's set up for them to make a run. And once you get into the playoffs, it's 0-0 for everybody. It's 0-0. All right? It's set up for them. It's also set up for Trey Lance to take over and start getting those reps. And he could potentially get some wins and kind of lead them there and build his confidence and get some more, confidence going for next season. But, man, you're right. The 49ers definitely could be that, and there's not a lot of good teams right now. Keep positive vibes, Croc. What was on your best game? What was one of your best games? Okay, my best game probably my senior year of college. Actually, we played against, and I went to a Division II school, University of Arkansas, Monticello, and I live there now. But I played against Valdosta State. They were the number 4 Division II in the nation. And I closed out that game with a forced fumble, and we recovered it. And then the very next drive, I got an interception, and that sealed the game. And we won like, I don't know, it was like 12-9 or 12-7, something like that. But to me, that was probably my biggest, that was probably my best game in the sense of just the impact directly, like a team that was number 4 in the nation, D2. And the plays I had at the end of the game to seal it. So that was my best game. That was my favorite one, at least. Appreciate the contribution. Here we go. Tomlinson right with Moore. Banks left with Williams. So you're saying Tomlinson on the right with Moore, and then move Banks to the left side at left guard. Now here's the tough thing. You're creating more like open spots. I get it in the sense of Tomlinson, like, put him on the right so we can be a little stronger there and he can help more. And then have Banks on the left where he can be helped by Williams. But that's a lot of moving pieces as opposed to just plugging in a guy. You know what I'm saying? So I hear you. I don't know if they'll do it that way, though. Hey, by the way, man, appreciate everybody that's in here right now. If you like what you've heard so far, go ahead, man. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. All right. Here we go. We got 1K. Jose. What's up, man? How you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Right on, right on. How you doing this morning, man?
Oh, I'm doing good, man. I'm feeling good. After this, I got to leave, go get my wife's car fixed. But aside from that, good.
Oh, yeah. Handle that. But, yeah, man, I just wanted to say it's kind of crazy hearing everybody kind of realizing what's going on with the whole team and the whole lack of leadership and stuff like that. And, I don't want to toot my own horn or anything, but, earlier in the off season, I went on a Grant Cohn show, while everybody was all getting hyped about, this is a Super Bowl run, we're going to run it back again, and everybody's just going to get healthy and this and that. I started alluding to just the kind of the fact that I mean, our real coach is now coaching the Jets, and the lack of experience and veterans is that we're going to be present. A lot of the players. I mean, we got some guys on 1-year deals, but it's not really the same team anymore. And they always say if you don't get better, you don't stay the same. You get worse. Because everybody else is getting better around you. Clearly, I mean, look at the Cardinals. They were at the bottom of the division for how long, and look at them now. And
Right.
a lot of the players that we had were missing now is I mean, they might not have been star players, but it was the depth. We had one guy go down, but we had another guy right there ready to step up and play. And the thing was that they were playing for something, for somebody, for Saleh, for their coach.
Right. What? One K Jose, I had to remove you because it was you were cutting in and out. So you look in the comments there like you're cutting in and out. My bad, man. But you were on to some good stuff. You can get that connection right. You know what I'm saying? Come back on. Here we go. Got Josh Jeter. What's good, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. And the Wi-Fi sounds good. So yeah, we're all good to go.
All right, cool. Yeah, I wanted to address some stuff you said yesterday, but I wanted to start out with some positive stuff first because
Definitely.
I want to be optimistic and all that. And you may have already addressed this. I've kind of been in and out of the chat this morning, but I still think that the Niners can do some stuff. Like I still look at them like they have a really talented. I still think we have a talented team, and we just have to find a way to execute a little better. And I'm looking, if I'm not mistaken, we're not out of the playoff hunt, are we?
Mm-mm.
Right. And so there's a lot of teams that are kind of hovering around the same record. And like, if we could figure out a couple of things offensively and defensively, I think we can do some things. And so, especially with the schedule you were just talking about, with the schedule coming up, like a lot of those games are winnable. So we can figure some stuff out. I think we can do some stuff. And the other thing too is some people in the chat might hate me a little bit, but as far as like Kyle Shanahan goes, I think he's calling a lot of really good stuff. Like I watch a lot of like different YouTube breakdowns and all that kind of stuff, and like a lot of the stuff he's calling, like stuff is open and stuff is working, but the execution has been not happening for whatever reason, and that's on him. That's probably on him. You gotta get your players right and get them ready to go. But I think he's calling good stuff, and it comes down to even the first Arizona game with Trey Lance. Like a lot of people were complaining about him running him too much and doing all this and that. I mean, I think he was trying to play to his skill set and put him in position to be successful. And a lot of that stuff, like it was just bad execution. But that's kind of where I'm at, like with the positivity stuff. But what do you think? Do you think I could be onto something there, or I don't know? I'm trying to be optimistic about it.
It's there. I think where you might want to, hold him more accountable is, just like maybe is there something else that you could be doing to make, have your quarterback see the, things that are open with the right plays and the execution be a little bit better, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think ultimately, again, that I don't think that's the issue. I've said it when we came on. My first positive that I talked about was Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't think he's playing bad. I think the bigger issue right now is just the overall discipline of the team, whether it's on offense with the turnovers, was it with defense, with the penalties. Like that's what's hurting the team. Yeah. I do think that's something that starts at the top. With the 49ers definitely have to fix that. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They fix that, then they are a team that can, potentially make a playoff run, because I think that, they are, they're not far off, and they're in striking range of being able to make the playoffs. But right now, they got to figure out a way to be more disciplined.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not trying to absolve him of blame for that. I think that starts at the top. When your team's not performing, like you have to find a way as a coach, or really any position of leadership. Like you got to start with what you're doing. Maybe I'm calling the right stuff, but for whatever reason, I'm not able to convey my message to the team to get them to do what they need to do. So yeah, that's for sure on Kyle. But Yesterday, you brought up something really interesting to me. You were talking about Trey Lance's confidence and how the coaches may be ruining it, or I don't know if ruin is the right word, but making it a little shaky. And that's really interesting to me. Like, to me, that's kind of, I don't want to say a red flag, but that's kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? That's a concern to me. If he's losing confidence, because to me, like, I feel like confidence should be kind of an internal thing. Like, you should be confident in who you are and your ability, especially with his resume. I mean, he had a lot of confidence to, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but there weren't a lot of schools that wanted him to play quarterback in college, and he pretty much believed in himself to play quarterback and kind of just stuck with it, and look where he's at now. And so, I mean, I feel like that's a confidence thing for him. And like, the other thing too is, I mean, look how much we've invested into him. I mean, he's the 3rd overall pick. And so, I mean, to me, that says clearly the team believes in you if you're drafted that high. And not only did they draft him that high, but, you know, we traded 2 or 3 first-round picks to get you here. So they really wanted you here. So, like, when I hear his confidence is wavering or whatever, that's kind of that sounds kind of weird to me, especially because, like, if go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So no, I hear you. Like, you don't want that. What I'm saying is, and kind of what I was trying to allude to is, this new generation of kids are different. So I think with us growing up, it's like you want somebody to have confidence no matter what the situation is. One thing I've noticed with this younger generation is, it's not so much that they don't have confidence in themselves, it's that they can take it as you don't have confidence in them. And I think, you know what I'm saying? And like, so, you know, I always talk about with my son, like, if you just hear my son talk, he has a ton of confidence in himself. But if I come off a certain way, the first thing he thinks is, man, you always, like, you never think, you know, I don't do this, or I don't do that, or I don't do things good enough. And like, that's how this younger generation thinks. So when you get on them about certain things, they believe they can do it, but they will right away start to lose confidence that you feel like they can do it. And I think that's what can hurt some of these guys. So when you think of Trey Lance, it's like, you know, man, you know, the first 2 weeks, like, man, I'm hitting, I'm balling, like, I'm doing this, I'm hitting this throw, drive throws, deep balls, like, over and over. And everybody's asking the media, damn, this young kid's balling. When is he going to play? When is he going to get first team reps? And the first thing the coach does is shoot it down and say, well, he'll get first team reps when I feel like he gives us the best chance to win, or if he's ready for that. And he's not ready for that. Like, when, you know, and like Kyle kept saying that over and over, like, no, he'll get first team reps when blah, 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 blah. Instead of being like, you know what? He's heading in that direction. You know, there may come a time soon when we start to, you know, get him those reps and see if he takes that next step, yada, yada. Instead of wording it like that, Kyle just consistently shot it down. And I think that can hurt anybody's confidence, right? When, you know, you're at any job and it's like, man, I'm doing everything that they're asking me to do. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Obviously, there's things I need to improve on, but damn, like, every time the manager, every time the supervisor talks about me, is that I'm not doing a good enough job. And I think that's the part where it probably could be, I don't even want to say lose confidence, but extremely frustrating for a young guy. And unfortunately, these young kids, they're just going to take it that way. And I'm not saying maybe that's not the case with him, but I've been around enough of these young guys to understand that's how they think. But Josh, I appreciate you coming on. I got to get the last caller on. I got Jamal.
Oh yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me.
All right, here we go. Jamal, what up, man? Oh no, you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, gotcha.
Okay, cool. I'll go without the headset. So I have some questions and a little exercise I want to do with you in regard to the 49ers leadership void. A couple callers back, you kind of talked about it a little bit, and I kind of wanted to dive into it a little bit more. So I have a couple questions I want to answer, and I kind of want to go through with you. You can push back if you don't like it as well, too. So first question I want to look for is, who are the 49ers leaders? Who do we feel can get in someone's face and demand better from them? And then my third point before I jump in is I don't feel that the 49ers have any assholes on the roster. And as we go through this, I will describe what I think that means. So the 49ers leaders that come to mind, and you can push back against this, but I'll go through it and you can push back if you don't like certain things. So when I think of the 49ers and the leaders and the talent that we have on this team, one of the first ones that comes to mind is Trent Williams. I think he's the best left tackle in the league, more of a lead by example type of guy, in my opinion, who does his job at the highest level. And he doesn't strike me as someone who is like a rah-rah type of guy, like not a major rah-rah type of guy, but he's a leader that does his job to the best of his ability. And that's where I say he's a lead by example. Do you agree, disagree, want any pushback?
I can agree with that. He doesn't come off as like a vocal leader. I think he's somebody who's kind of just that veteran, that, you know, he's the veteran. He's going to do his job. He's going to do it at a high level. You got to watch the way that he prepares. If you ask him a question, he'll probably tell you, but he's more so worried about him and doing his job. So he is more of a lead by example.
Right.
Watch how I do these things. And there are a lot of other guys that are leaders like that as well. Yep.
100%. Okay. So we agree on that one. The next one that comes to mind to me, and I'll try to do this quickly so we don't take forever. But the next one that comes to mind to me, okay, is George Kittle. In my opinion, I think he's very clearly the second best player on this team after Trent Williams. This season, to me, I don't think he's been the same happy-go-lucky type of guy that he's been. Obviously, in my opinion, that's because he's been missing due to injury in recent weeks. I do think in some ways you could say he's a vocal leader in some ways, and he has at times said things like, I need to play better, and I've seen him take up for the team sometimes after big losses. But I do still think, like, in general, he'd like to defer his leadership or to defer leadership in general to the QB and head coach. That's kind of how I view it with George Kittle. Thoughts?
Yeah. You know, unfortunately, George Kittle, he's been the best player on this team for a couple years now, and he is kind of the face of the team. I think when you think of San Francisco 49ers, you know, George Kittle is one of the first people that you think of, whether it's you've seen him on commercials or when he's on shows like Good Morning Football. You know, he's usually the guy that's kind of the spokesman for what's going on with the roster and the quarterback situation and things like that. So, you know, is he just the vocal leader on the field? I'm not sure, but he is a guy that seems like he's very motivating, gets guys going. Now, he might do it in a different way. It could be with jokes. It could be with conversation, but he seems to be very engaging with a lot of his teammates. And he's another guy, I think, that kind of leads a little bit more by example with, you got to watch how he moves, watch how he does things, you know, the conversation, things like that. And if you can prepare at the level that he does, then obviously you'd be a better football player. Right.
Agreed to that. And I think one of the bigger things for him in terms of his leadership style is the energy that he brings to the team, and they can kind of feed off of that. The next one that comes to mind for me is Deebo Samuel, but I don't see him as like a major leader on this team. I think that for me, he's kind of the epitome of lead by example. He shows up, he does his job to the best of his ability. I don't think he's a shy person or anything like that, but he does seem to be a man of few words when it comes to the media. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think you're spot on with that. Like, I don't think that Deebo is set out to be the leader, right? No. I don't think that's what's on his mind. I think what's on his mind is, you know, going out, being as productive as he can be, you know, being a good football player. And when he leaves, you know, put on his Balenciagas and his Gucci and his, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think he's tripping on nothing else. It's like, man, I'm going out, I'm going to do my job. And if he does that, then obviously the 49ers, it can help lead to wins. But I don't think he's the guy that's going to jump out and be like, rah, 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 you know, that type of guy.
Right. That's just not him. Agreed 100%. So I got a couple more. So I got Fred Warner up next. I think he's grown to be more of a leader since joining the 49ers. But he's still, to me, more of a lead by example type of guy. He will tell you, he'll go to the post-game pressers and say he needs to play better. He could have been in position to make a better play, things like that. But I personally question how much he demands for his teammates to also do better. Like, I don't think he's going to get in somebody's face and say, yo, like, that's not going to fly. We can't be doing that. I'm holding you to this standard. Maybe he holds him to a standard, but I guess what I'm saying is I still don't think he's an asshole. He's not going to get up in your ass back.
And he doesn't come off as that. And something like that, and I see somebody say Deebo is 24. It's hard for him to tell a 30-plus-year-old man what to do. I think a lot of these guys, it's not even so much about the 30-plus man. It's about the younger guys, getting them to understand what's at stake. You know, I watched this video one time of CJ Charles James. And if you remember back, the Houston Texans training camp, Hard Knocks. He was heavily involved in that, right? He was heavily involved in this. And there was one clip that either came from that or just a clip that eventually went viral. And it was him telling the younger guy, it was an undrafted guy, like, bruh, you got to stop busting coverages. Now, the younger guy had some things to say, but he was trying to get him to understand, like, bruh, if you don't do your effing job, like, we're both going to be out of a job. Like, you got to understand what's at stake here. Like, if you messing up, it's going to look like I'm messing up, and we both going to be out of here, and I'm not letting that happen. Like, do the 49ers have that guy?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't think that Fred Warner is that guy. I think Fred Warner is like, I'll break the huddles, you know, hey, let's go, everybody, let's ball out today, let's get it going. You know, I heard about him at the game going to the fans, let's go, get the fans into it. But is he the guy that's just going to get in somebody's face? Like, bruh, like, listen to what I'm telling you. Just shut up. Listen.
Right.
You got to do this. You got to do that. I saw Charles James do it, and he was an undrafted guy trying to make a roster. Do the 49ers have one of their star guys that are able to do that? I don't know if it's Fred Warner.
Right. Yeah. Some of these guys. Well, I'll hold that point. So the next person I have, Jimmy Ward. He's the longest tenured 49er. And in my opinion, yeah, he's definitely earned a lot of cachet, respect in that locker room. I think he is a voice of leadership in that room as well. I think he might quietly be one of the bigger leaders on this team, to be honest, especially because of his playing style and his ability at the safety position to line guys up in the right position. He's a communicator out on the field. He does help get people lined up in the right spots. You know, obviously he was out hurt last week. Koski Todd as well too. And that showed up on the field, in my opinion. Thoughts on that one?
Yeah. Jimmy Ward reminds me a lot of myself when I was out there. Excuse me. He's a guy that is going to talk trash to opposing players, you know, but he's kind of like this quiet leader. And I think he is somebody who will tell you, like, you know, what to look for, you know, or things that he's seeing and things like that. But again, I don't think he's a guy that's going to get in guys' face. And I know I wasn't that guy. I'm turned up on the field. I'm excited. Like, I'm talking trash to players. Like, you ain't going to do this. You ain't going to do that. I'm not backing down from nobody. But I also wasn't a guy that was like, hey, man, if you ain't doing, like, I just wasn't that guy. And I don't think he is either. But I do think they look to him as a leader because, like you said, he is, you know, the longest tenured 49er player right now.
Yeah, 100%. And then right after that comes Koski Tart, and I can keep that one short and simple. I do think he's a quiet lead by example type guy. I've never viewed him as a vocal leader. That doesn't necessarily mean he isn't, but I've never viewed him that way. You?
Yeah. Nah.
I couldn't say that. Okay. And then obviously I've left one person out. I'm sure everyone's questioning why I haven't talked about the guy, the quarterback, right?
Right.
Garoppolo. So I don't know if I can answer this one, but in my opinion, when I view Garoppolo as of right now, I think he's 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out. I've seen him week after week kind of continue to parrot the same old, you know, we just have to execute better. He says that statement week in and week out in the press conference. He knows he's on borrowed time with this team. Obviously, they just spent, you know, the draft capital to go get Trey Lance. And so for me, but the question I have with Garoppolo, what is the buy-in for him to be the vocal leader? From his vantage point, I don't think there is any, to be honest.
It ain't there. And that's something that, you know, they're going to have to figure out how to get that, you know, even for Trey Lance. I would have liked, again, some of this is hindsight, but I do think it would have been nice to see Trey Lance get started, you know, early on and start to get the guys to rally around him and him become that leader, because it's almost impossible for Jimmy to do it. Like you said, right. 1 foot in, 1 foot out. He's pretty much on his way out. They asked him about Odell Beckham, and he was just like, you know,
like the guys that we got here,
guys in the locker room, like, you know, like it's like, yeah, this dude, he's gonna be gone. So
exactly,
there is one guy that you didn't mention that I wonder how much of a leader he is, and it might be a guy that people don't think of. All right,
Kyle Juszczyk?
Nope.
Who?
One more guess. I'll give you one more guess.
When we don't think of Sanu?
Nope. Which he probably is like a leader amongst the receivers,
right? Of the receivers,
to being that vet, how he does things. You know, his
is it Josh Norman
and stuff like that? Nope, not even Josh Norman.
I don't know. You got to tell me.
Laken Tomlinson.
Oh,
he's like a nasty, offensive lineman. Like, he's aggressive, he's physical. He's been with the 49ers. He started with them when they weren't good. He's also been on the team through the Super Bowl year and obviously, clearly beyond. He has continuously played well. I
need
think
to pay him.
when I think of offensive lineman, I think he is kind of that guy that is, just when you look at how he plays and the mindset, being around good, bad, all that, he's somebody that I think he could grab somebody and hey, man, like, come on. Like, I don't know if he is that guy, but I do think that he is someone that could potentially be the guy that the 49ers really need to that leader to step up and be that not even just a motivator, but just hold people accountable.
Mm-hmm.
He's been there, done that. He was a first round pick. He had a falling out with Detroit or whoever it was. Didn't play to the, raise his game as a 49er, been there through the good, the bad.
Right.
I think he's a guy, he at the very least has more incentive to be that guy than maybe anybody else on that offense or just really in that line. And just with how offensive linemen are, I think he could be that guy. I don't know if he is, but that's one guy I like that actually.
I'm gonna have to do some more research on that, but I do like where you're going with that. I also think we should pay him this offseason. Obviously, he's going to be a free agent. He's 29. I think a nice 2 to 3 year deal. I think he's worth it. I think he's also earned it. But I'm going to look more into Laken Thompson because I did not think of him.
Yeah, see people talk. Lincoln's a dog.
He is a dog.
Pretty damn good. He's dope. Yeah, so everybody likes him. Yeah,
he's kind of what you want your draft picks to turn out to, right? Like, he's grown so much since joining the 49ers, and now he's a solid contributor to this team and starter. That, like you just said, he should be able to hold people accountable. But just to wrap up right there on Garoppolo, I wrote a quote here that I thought, and I think it just ties up Garoppolo this season. I think his leadership at this point is just whatever Kyle says. I agree with that. We'll go with whatever Kyle says. That kind of is what it is, right?
Yeah.
It sounds stupid, but I think it kind of is.
It's real.
It kind of is to that. So as we continue through with this, the 49ers do have talented top-end players on this team. We've just mentioned a lot of those guys. And I do think Brandon Ayuk can become that one day, but he's still growing. He's not there yet. Kyle Juszczyk, I haven't mentioned him, but I think he's also a really top-end, best fullback in the league still, in my opinion. Anyway, you get the point. There's high-end talent on this team. Yeah. What the 49ers do lack is that dog mentality leader who I believe requires, not just says it, requires the absolute best out of his team.
Ray Lewis, right?
Thank you, Ray Lewis, the Patrick Willises.
Yeah.
The guys, and that's what I'm about to get to next. So sometimes it comes in the form of your best player. If it's Patrick Lewis, that dude's one of the most talented linebackers we've ever seen in the middle of the defense, and he's a leader. So if it comes from a guy like that, guys are going to rally behind that guy.
Yeah,
probably 99% of the time. Whereas I don't think it always has to come from your best player, though. So I'm a Laker fan. I know we've got a lot of Golden State Warriors fans up in here. I'm pretty sure
I'm a Laker fan too. Yeah,
right. So I'm sure a lot of people don't like that. They don't like to hear that. It's a Niners page. But at the same time, I'm gonna make them happy because I actually want to talk about the Golden State Warriors. And I'm sure you know where I'm going with this. So let's take a look at their teams. So over the past decade, you can say 10 to 13 seasons, the Warriors have had some of the best seasons.
They're getting on you in the comments because you said Patrick Lewis on accident. So, but I know what you meant. You meant Patrick Willis, but you had said Patrick Lewis on accident, so they're giving you a hard time.
Oh, I said Patrick Lewis. Yeah, I meant Patrick Willis. My bad, y'all.
Because I had mentioned Ray Lewis, and then you were talking about Patrick Willis, and then you kind of combined it. But yeah,
hey, that'd be a fire linebacker though. We combine the two.
The perfect leader. Yeah.
So if we're talking about the Warriors, obviously they've had Steph Curry. He's one of their vocal leaders. They've been really good over the past 10 to 13 years, and they've had some teams that are going down as the greatest teams, arguably in history. Top end talent: Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant. We probably don't even really need to mention it. Draymond Green, Iguodala. You can throw in me. I could go play center for them during those years, and they still win a championship. Right. And that's not me whatsoever. So obviously they've had top end talent, but I do want to focus on the Draymond Green. I think a caller was saying this just a few minutes ago as well. Draymond's not the most talented guy on that team. That's always been Steph, Durant, Klay. But I do think Dre has always clearly been the vocal leader of that team over these years. He's played with the guys of Steph, Klay, Durant. Those guys are supremely talented guys, also really, really, really competitive. And they demand much from their teammates. Usually when you're great, you demand a lot from your teammates as well too. But with Dre, I think he's the same way. He's called players-only meetings. He's put players in the right position defensively. He's told players what to do on certain offensive possessions, and he's fired teammates up on the sidelines as well when they've needed it. He knows how to be that spark, whatever it may be, on the field or on the court, off the court. He gets his teammates, and I think he gets the most out of them. I think he's been so competitive and demanding that at times, sometimes it crosses the line. There's been incidents where, he's kicked players in the balls. He's got suspended during big series. He's called his teammates out of name. We know what he's called Kevin Durant. He's got asshole in him. I mean, truthfully, he's got asshole in him. But the guys who've played with him have always said that they respect him, even Kevin Durant, because he never meant any harm. And the dude always wanted to win. Yeah. So in my opinion, what I'm really getting at is he's a leader who's always required the absolute best out of his teammates. But here's the key point. It's always been at whatever talent level that they had. So what I'm saying is he requires the best from all of his teammates, Steph all the way down the line to the 12th person. At whatever talent level you have, he requires the best out of you. And he never requires something out of a teammate that he doesn't require for himself. So it's not that he's trying to say, you need to do all this. And he's going to be, sitting there on the sideline. Not at all. He's always working hard. He's always he's uber competitive himself as well, too. And I think right now he is the type of gritty, got it out of the mud type of leader that the Warriors have benefited from over the years. The 49ers could use that right now.
Right. Yeah.
He's always talking to coaches. Ooh, hold on. He talks to coaches. He talks to his opponents, his teammates. He's just always talking because he's a vocal leader. And in my opinion, it's one of his underrated parts of being, a member of the Warriors. That impact, it shows. It's not shown in the box score. He's never been a box score stuffer. He might get 7 points and 12 rebounds and 5 assists. He does whatever it takes for his team to win. But that extra impact of, firing up his teammates, that's not in the box score, but he's a major leader like that. And I think, as much as people don't like it or they don't want to talk about it because this player was injured a lot, I do think that that's exactly the type of leadership that Quan Alexander brought to the 49ers when he was here. A passionate leader, always talking, firing up his teammates, even when he wasn't on the field. He'd be on the sidelines talking with Fred. He created a swagger in that linebacker room. We talked about the hot boys. And I personally believe he had probably the biggest impact on Fred Warner's leadership style now and how it's improved to where it is. It's not the same as Quan's, but I do think he probably had the biggest impact in empowering Fred to be the leader that he is now. That's kind of my thoughts and opinions on that. I think sometimes people make fun of the guy that's really passionate and sometimes over the top. But I would always say I'd always rather have a guy that's cares too much rather than caring too little. I know I've kind of gone on a little rant here, but your thoughts on
you're
that?
good. And I mean, the leadership thing, that's been a big part of the conversation right now that's going on with the 49ers. How do they improve that? How do they fix that? Do they got the right guys in the building to be that guy? And they're going to need that. They're going to need that moving forward to get out of this rut that they're in. Because, again, I do think that they have the guys. I think they have the potential to be a good football team. But right now, for whatever reason, they're not getting those results. And they got to figure out how. I think it starts with leadership. Who do they look for? Who do they look to for that type of leadership? I'm not sure they got the guys right now, but I guess we'll find out, man. We'll find out.
Right, and that's the question. Like you just said, we'll find out. Maybe someone will step up. Obviously, we're 3-5 right now. If we don't win this game, we're 3-6. Maybe someone will step up. And truthfully, maybe Lance will be that guy whenever he gets in. It's possible. But at this point in time, I don't think we have that leadership. I do think that that's an underrated leadership style that is missing from this team. We got a lot of nice guys based off of what we've seen. And if we just want to use another small example, we could say the same thing about Tom Brady. He's an asshole. His teammates will tell you he's an asshole. But it's been one of the underrated things, and being able to light a fire under his teammates, knowing how to relate to different teammates. Tom's almost, 45 years old now? Yeah. And he's found ways to relate to a 24-year-old. Like, he knows how to demand more from people, but he also demands it from himself as well. So I just kind of think we're missing that leadership style. We could use that right now. That's kind of my thoughts on it.
Well, we'll see eventually who kind of grows to be that person. And sometimes it grows with time. We'll see if Fred Warner ultimately ends up being that guy, but we'll see, man. But I appreciate you coming on, Jamal.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
All right. Here we go. And I appreciate everybody that tuned in to the show. Shout out to everybody that left the contributions. Had some big ones today. That was awesome. If you're new to the show, if you've liked this, if you want to contribute to the show, every morning we're here. Well, Monday through Friday, 6:30 a.m. Pacific, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. You know, we went longer today, 2 hours longer than usual. It's usually about an hour and a half. But I appreciate everybody that stuck around for the whole thing. Mama Crocky, you know, my wife, she came on talking about what it's like to be married to somebody that's obsessed with sports, with football, with the 49ers. And I'm pretty sure all of you watching right now, you are too. So again, if you like it, subscribe, hit that like button. Underdog Fantasy, we're going to keep that money coming. All right. And I think we out of here, man. Appreciate everybody that came through. Oh, you guys can find this on any Apple Pod, Spotify, whatever you listen to podcasts, this will be on that as well. So it's not just the YouTube form of it. Make sure you guys, if you haven't already, listen to Locked On 49ers. We just had a great episode with, obviously myself, my guy Brian Peacock, and we brought on Benjamin Solak, who talked about the whole Kyle Shanahan thing, his kind of path as a coach and his decision-making and things like that. Great episode. Go listen to that right now, man. But until next time, I'll see y'all, man. Peace.
Intercepted. It is picked up by Aaron Crocker. Over midfield, he'll run it all the way into the end zone. Touchdown.
Croc Talk TV podcast. Peace.